Having a lot of money has its downsides. One of those is having to settle for mega expensive settlements if you happen to go that road with your ex-partner. But it's not even justified sometimes. In addition to that, sometimes the settlements are so absurd that it becomes hard to wrap your head around them. In today's video, we'll take a look at some of the most expensive celebrity divorce settlements. Starting off with number 10, Elaine and Steve Wynn. If you're going to talk about settlements, why not just go all out, right? Elaine and Steve Wynn are one such case. Steve Wynn is an American real estate developer and art collector. He was also the CEO of the Wynn Resorts, but let go of that position in February 2018. Elaine and Steve were married at a pretty young age. They both met in college and were married by 1963. Unfortunately, though, by 1986 they had filed for divorce. Surprisingly, only 5 years later they remarried. This time again, their time together ended in divorce after a good 24 years. The second time wasn't really pretty for them. Leaving everything aside, Steve wouldn't have been happy with this entire arrangement because he ended up having to pay his ex-wife a whopping $741 million. That's a huge amount. But before we talk about such huge settlements, let's take a look at some of the more humble ones. In comparison, of course. Next up at number 9, we have Paul McCartney and Heather Mills. McCartney married Heather in a huge Ireland wedding that cost around $3.2 million. Maybe he thought spending so much money on his wedding would result in something magical, but that wasn't the case. Only after 4 years, the marriage broke up, costing McCartney $48.6 million. What's even more astonishing, though, is that it was only 1/5 of the actual settlement she had sought. However, getting close to $50 million meant she was paid around $34,000 for each day they were together. Both of them blamed the media's intrusion in their private lives for why they couldn't stay together. Coming up at number 8, we have Princess Diana and Prince Charles, one of the most publicized separations in history. The marriage of the Prince of Wales, Charles, and Princess Diana wasn't pretty in any way. It was littered with scandals and sadness. When the union ended, Princess Diana was awarded $25 million in settlements. But sadly, even after things ended, none of them were left alone. Only 1 year after the union ended, she died in a car accident with an Egyptian filmmaker. She was reported to have been in a relationship with the filmmaker Dodi Fayed. It's also reported that it had progressed to an engagement. Unfortunately, it couldn't reach its full potential. In addition to that, she was also scandalized for being in a relationship with a doctor at one point. Even after she passed away in one of the most unfortunate celebrity deaths, she was still not left alone, debating on how she died and why this could be a murder and whatnot. Next up at number 7, we have Donald Trump and Ivana Trump. Donald Trump is often regarded as a smart man. While we're not completely sold on that idea, it's true that he made a smart move by signing a nuptial agreement with his former wife Ivana Trump. The agreement limited her from getting anything over $25 million, so that must be a bummer. But it wasn't just the money that she received. In addition to that, she also got time at Mar-a-Lago, Florida resort, plus spousal and child support. And even if that's not enough, Ivana also received a mansion located in Connecticut. Mother of Donald Trump's 3 children, Ivana married a total of 4 times over the course of her life. She passed away in July of this year at the age of 73. Moving on to the 6th spot for Maria Shriver and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Shriver and Arnold were married for 25 years before things fell apart. But who are we to judge? Maybe things weren't going well for a while. In 2011, Shriver filed for divorce after she learned that her former husband had a relationship with her housekeeper, Mildred Baina. And that's not where it stopped. He eventually went on to have a child with her. Schwarzenegger wasn't as smart as Trump, which meant there were no prenuptial arrangements. It was reported that this miscalculation cost him anywhere between $250 and $375 million that he had to pay to Shriver. Arnold and Shriver were a powerful couple who complemented each other in everything they did in life. So it was very unfortunate that this union had to break, especially considering the environment that they had created for their children. Next up, we have Michael Jackson and his wife Debbie Rowe at number 5. Michael Jackson's personal relationships were a major part of his media coverage. He was officially married 2 times. The first one was with Lisa Marie Presley in 1994 and ended only 2 years later due to irreconcilable differences. The same year, he got married to another woman, Debbie Rowe. Dermatology assistant Debbie Rowe was married to Michael Jackson for a very short time. However, for the King of Pop, this short marriage cost a lot. Rowe, who was also the mother of Jackson's 2 children, Prince and Paris, took almost $8.5 million from the singer. The marriage broke off in the year 2000, only 4 years after getting together. 9 years later, Michael Jackson passed away, leaving behind a world teary-eyed. Following up, it's Sylvester Stallone and his wife, Jennifer Flavin Stallone, at number 4. One of the biggest names to come out of Hollywood is Sylvester Stallone. Rocky actor Sylvester Stallone was married to Jennifer Flavin Stallone Stallone. She filed for divorce in August after 25 years of marriage. The filing was done in Florida. The former model has tried to score $35 million in settlement via complete ownership of a Florida home that the couple had. Sylvester is worth $400 million, which means that Flavin is looking at a pretty hefty amount, given that there were no premarital agreements signed. But there's a twist to their story. It was reported in the later part of this year that the two had decided to halt their divorce proceedings and try to reconcile in an attempt to get back together. If that happens, Jennifer Flavin can kiss the settlement goodbye. But again, if she didn't want to, she wouldn't have agreed to let go of things. We're in the top 3 now. First up at number 3, Michael Jordan and wife Juanita Vanoy. Arguably the greatest of all time of the NBA wasn't as lucky off the court as he was on the court. Jordan, the NBA legend, went through a split with his former wife back in 2006. Former model Juanita Vanoy agreed to a settlement that was probably one of the most expensive celebrity divorces. $168 million was paid by the 6-time NBA champion after things went downhill after 17 years of marriage. It's scary to be able to commit to someone once you're forced to pay such an amount. But like everything he does differently, MJ decided to remarry a woman named Yvette Prieto, who he's been with for over 9 years now. We just hope that this one doesn't end up in him having to pay $168 million in settlements. Coming up at number 2, Bill Gates and Melinda Gates. Last year, in a surprising development, Bill Gates announced that he and his wife were going their own separate ways. The two got married in 1994, and while there were a lot of technicalities in the post-divorce plan, neither of them would pay spousal support. At the time of this announcement, Gates was worth $152 billion, but reportedly after the separation, both of them could have that worth divided among them. In addition to that, Melinda Gates has said on record that she has no plans of changing her name, and while that's actually weird, what's not is that both Bill and Melinda Gates have agreed to run their charity jointly, even after parting ways. Lastly, at number 1, it's Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott. Jeff Bezos' divorce from his wife has probably been one of the biggest news of this decade. The tech guru and father of Amazon had to pay no humble amount in what is probably one of the biggest divorce settlements in history. Scott is the mother of 4 children of Bezos, who walked away with a whopping $38.3 billion. That's right, billion. And even though this huge takeout didn't have much effect on the overall net worth of the world's second richest man, it doesn't take away from the fact that $38.3 billion is a huge freaking amount. It was also followed by a storm of memes and videos making fun of Bezos and how even the top of the top are unable to have a happy marriage. Rude, guys, very rude. And besides, Bezos probably can't hear you in his house made of dollars. That's a wrap for this video. Who else do you think should have been on the list? And do you think that such huge amounts are justified when separating from one's partner? Also, what's your opinion regarding signing nuptial agreements? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.